Dude, we're out testing the Pocket 3 and we just got a bit of sunlight poking up underneath the clouds, so I'm going to check that out before we do anything else. Triple tap to turn it round. Welcome to England in the winter. That is beautiful. This camera is a bit of a learning curve when it comes to using it every single day, but I've got some tips and tricks to help you get the most out of it. So let's talk about it in this video. Okay, so the first one is to do with the active track and face tracking. You can actually adjust the position of yourself in the frame, which is a really great feature, especially if you want yourself on the right hand side of the frame or the left hand side of the frame and you want to keep yourself there. So when you've got active tracking activated, I've got face tracking activated now. When I'm recording this video, if I want myself over that way a little bit, you can press the joystick left like that, and then the active track will keep you on that side of the frame. And you know, for certain scenarios, especially for, you know, product reviews, if you're talking about something and the product is here and you don't want to have yourself in the center of the frame the whole time, you want the product there and talk about it, you can do that, and that's very useful. To get back into the center of the frame, you simply double tap on the joystick like so, and it recenters the gimbal straight away, and then you're back in the center of the frame, active tracking. And that is my first tip. It's very muddy down here. I'm doing my best. This wasn't the wisest of ideas. Oh my god. So my next tip is you can lock the gimbal head by holding the joystick button down. So you press the joystick button down, and no matter which way you sort of turn the gimbal like that, it keeps it locked on the position that you are waving your hand about in. So if I can triple tap on it to rotate it, and I press the joystick button down and hold it, I'm sort of keeping it locked in the position. I'm actually moving the gimbal left and right, but the gimbal head and the camera is staying locked on that one position. And that is a really good way to get some nice stable shots, especially if you're sort of fixating on a subject ahead or in front of you. You hold the joystick button down, move your arms, and the gimbal head stays locked on the subject, and it's a great shot. It's something that the more advanced, bigger gimbals have as well. They have like a trigger button usually, but you've got the same function on this by just holding the joystick button down to lock the position of the gimbal. The next tip for you is you can actually adjust the EV value of your shot whilst you're recording. You don't have to do it when the camera's off. You can adjust it as you're recording, which is a great thing. And I've got gloves on. Yes, they've got touch sensitive fingerprints, but you swipe from the right of the screen left, and then you can adjust the EV value down, so minus 1.7 or plus 1.7, 1.2, all the way down to 2.7 minus. So you can adjust it like so, and I'm going to have it on 0 because that looks okay to me. We are using the wide angle lens at the moment as well, because I think you need that for vlogging, especially if filming yourself a lot. You do need the wide angle lens. It's a well worth accessory. If you're picking up the creator kit, which I'll link in the description down below, you get this microphone and you get the wide angle lens in the kit. So I think it's a well worth accessory, as well as the battery handle, which adds a bit more battery for you. So yeah, that's my third tip. You can adjust the EV value whilst you record, and that is a nice feature because it just allows you to adjust on the go. I like that. On a lot of these action cameras, reducing the sharpness of the image is always a good idea, just because on smaller sensors, images tend to come out a little bit sharp. So you can do that on this camera as well. You can go into the Pro menu, swipe from the right hand side left, you can go to Image Adjustment, press Custom, and then on the left hand side you can reduce the sharpness. I've got the sharpness down to -2, and it just gives the image a little bit more of a pleasing look to me anyway. So that's what I do on most of my cameras. I have the image sharpness on low or medium. On the DJI Pocket 3 I have it on -2, and that's just what I like. Everybody's different, but for me that is one tip that I would recommend changing straight away. in the UK, especially in winter, you have to get out for bang on sunrise or just after, because that's when you get a glimpse of the sun, is when it comes from the horizon in between the cloud, and then once it goes above the cloud, I mean, it's gone now, it's just cloudy, and it probably will be for the rest of the day. But if you get up early enough, you see that sunrise. They are some of the most beautiful sunrises that you can see. I'll pop a picture up from my iPhone I took at about 20 past 8 this morning. Absolutely beautiful, but you get about 10 minutes of that, if you're lucky, disappears, gone. Are you still tracking me? You are, okay. So my next two tips are to do with this microphone. When you've got the microphone connected to the camera, you can press the link button once to start and stop recording. So you don't have to go over to the camera, press record, run backwards. You can actually get yourself in position, set the tracking, whatever you're using, whatever feature you're using, press the link button and it will start recording the video. That's my fifth tip. Losing track. You keep track, let me know in the comments down below if you've kept track. The next tip is to do with the microphone as well. You can actually press the power button and that turns on the noise reduction within the audio. So if you're in a noisy environment and you want to reduce the outside ambience noise, you press the power button on the microphone and that turns on noise reduction. It's another great feature of this fantastically powerful microphone. Okay, on we go. So as we know, we can record vertically with the Pocket 3 as well. All you have to do is switch the screen round. So you twist the screen and it turns into vertical mode. Press continue to stop it turning off automatically. And then you record in vertical. The gimbal doesn't move anymore. It just records in this sort of vertical format. You can have tracking on as well. So tracking works in vertical mode. And yeah, that's a great option. But you can actually adjust the settings of the screen and what it does when it's in certain scenarios. So you can set it to be vertical all the time, you can set it to be landscape all the time, or you can set the screen setting to actually auto switch, which is what I have it on. So for instance, when you switch the screen back down round to landscape, it will record in landscape, and when you switch the screen to vertical, it will record in vertical. So that's the setting I recommend you have it on. Just a little note, the tracking does work, but if you are recording vertically, it only records in a maximum of 3K. So that's just something to note if you are recording vertically with this camera a lot. Coming up to the farm. Don't mind me, just walking through. Okay. Shut the gate behind me. Bloody hell, those are some massive logs. So the next tip is that you can double tap on a subject on the screen to track it. You don't have to use the smart tracking features or the active track. You can simply double tap, like I am now, on that tree, and then when you move the gimbal left and right, it will stay tracked on that tree. So if I put my hand there, you can see that I'm moving the gimbal left and right and that the tree is staying dead center in the grid lines on my camera. That's a great feature. So all you have to do on any subject is double tap on it and it will track it on the screen. Active tracking is very, very powerful. It's one of the most advanced tracking features that you can get on any camera on the market at the moment. Very, very good. It's on, I don't know, it's on about 6th or 7th generation of tracking, so it's very powerful and it works very, very well. Okay, another microphone tip for you. You can actually adjust the gain of the microphone in the camera. So if you're recording stuff and you feel like your audio is too low, or you're in a noisy environment and you want to adjust the gain of the voice just so you make sure you get some good audio when you're talking to the camera, then you can actually go into the audio settings, swipe from the right to the left, press on the microphone in the Pro menu, and you can change the gain settings within there as well. You can actually monitor the audio if you want to. You can plug some microphones into the top of this microphone, into the 3.5mm jack, and in the Pro settings as well, you can actually change the level of the audio that you're listening to within the microphones, the monitoring audio as well. So yeah, within the Pro settings, you can change a lot of the audio settings, but I like to have the gain on probably just +1, so then if it is too loud, you've got the 32-bit flight backup and you can just adjust it in post-production. But a lot of options, a lot of customizability when it comes to the the audio. So if you're somebody that wants to use ND filters with your camera, there are some great options. I've reviewed some from Freewell in the past. They are stackable ND filters and circular polarizers. I will link the video up above if you want to check it out. They're great options, very thin, machine milled from aluminium, so a great option. Fully recommend those. I think they're great. But if you want to adjust your manual exposure settings, you will need to use a ND filter. For instance, if you want to get some like motion blur in your footage, I'm not using them today because I'm just shooting and going, and I find it sometimes a little bit easier just to press record and not really worry about that kind of thing. That's what most of these action cameras and personal recording cameras are for. Press and go and not really think about the settings. But if you do want to dial in these settings, you want to use manual exposure. If you want to use a shutter speed rule where your shutter speed is double your frame rate, then you want to use an ND filter. And yeah, you can get some great ones. I'll link them down below, and I'll link the video up there if you want to do it. But you can go into the settings, adjust your manual exposure as you want it, and dial up the custom and really customize the camera to how you want it to look. It's very customizable, very, very powerful. So not only is everything in this camera really customizable, like the microphone, the picture, but you can also adjust the speed of the gimbal. So if you're shooting something like yourself, you might want the gimbal speed to be sort of medium. If you're shooting something very cinematic, then you want the gimbal speed to be nice and slow. If you're capturing sports day with the kids, then you might want the gimbal speed to be fast so you can keep up with the action. So yeah, you can customize it, dial it in to how you want it, and that is tip number 12. You can adjust within the menu, swiping down, and you adjust the gimbal speed. But it's nice to be out, getting some fresh air early this morning, even though the weather isn't perfect. But we saw that sunrise. We got a bit of sunrise, and that's a bonus. Okay, I'm going to finish off here. We're going to go back into the studio, finish off the video, and give you my last tip. So final tip is you can use the DJI Pocket 3 as a web camera, and that's what I'm doing right now. I'm recording this in OBS on the computer. It's just connected via the USB-C port on the back of the camera. It pops up, you put it in, and it comes in web camera or file transfer, and it automatically goes to web camera after 3 seconds, and you can record and use the audio as well. I'm using active track, I'm using the microphone as well, and it sounds great, looks great, and you know, probably one of the best web cameras you can get on the market at the moment, because this camera is just phenomenal. I mean, look at the picture. You have sort of natural bokeh in the background in the studio here. It's absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, this camera is great. I really would suggest that you subscribe to the channel, press the bell so you don't miss any future uploads, because we're in this kind of arms race of action cameras and personal recording cameras at the moment. Companies like DJI Insta360 are really pushing the boundaries of what you can do with these cameras. They're bringing out new features, new accessories all the time, and I'm going to be trying my best to cover all of them, so make sure you do stay tuned for future releases. Okay, that's it for this one. I hope it helped. If you've got any more questions, let me know in the comments down below. I'll try and update this list in say 3 or 4 months time with more tips and tricks about the Pocket 3. Until then, enjoy the camera. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.